LWO1 WeatherNet. Liftoff conditions looking pretty good.
ESTS is ready for launch.
Ignition. Liftoff.
Falcon 9 has cleared the tower.
Ten, 9, 8,
Side booster ignition.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All out. Falcon 9's in startup. Flight computers are now running the Falcon 9. We're pressurizing the stages for flight, and we're waiting for the final go.
LD, go for launch.
With that, the SpaceX launch director has confirmed we're go for launch. So as we come up on T-minus 30 seconds, let's listen to the final countdown and watch as Falcon 9 takes our Starlink satellites and BlackSky satellites to orbit.
Stage 1 tanks pressing for flight.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And liftoff.
Preparing for supersonic and max Q.
Mach 1.
Got the call out for Mach 1. We have throttled the Merlins back up to full power. Next event will be maximum dynamic pressure. And there we are. We're going through the thickest portion of the atmosphere at the highest speeds. Now as we continue to accelerate Falcon 9, the air density gets thinner and the loads on the vehicle decrease. A minute 30 seconds, trajectory continues to look good.
Back dechill.
That dechill indicates we're now beginning to bleed a little bit of liquid oxygen through the upper stage engine turbo pump to get it ready for ignition, coming up in just about 40 seconds from now. Nice view from the ground camera looking up the long plume coming out of the 9 Merlin 1D engines. Now, major event coming up will be main engine cutoff coming up at just after 2.5 minutes called MECO. We shut off all the 9 engines. We'll separate the first stage from the second stage, and we will ignite the second stage engine called SES-1, the second stage engine start number 1. Begin to throttle down.
MECO.
Stage separation confirmed.
And we've got successful MVAC full power ignition. The view on the right shows the MVAC engine, the second stage now taking over, carrying the Starlink and BlackSky satellites to orbit. On the left screen, the first stage is continuing without power to coast to apogee, and you can see the large titanium grid fins beginning to open with the lights of the United States in the background as we slowly head up the eastern coast of America. Next coming up will be fairing separation. There's a view of the fairing. And we confirm fairing separation. So the Falcon 9 second stage continues at full power, carrying the Starlink and BlackSky satellites to the first of 2 orbits. The first stage is continuing to coast to apogee, and then it will begin to fall back to Earth, and eventually 2 burns to land on the drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. The trajectory right now continues to look right down the middle. Everything's looking good on Falcon 9. So as we come up on 4 minutes, we will remind you that we are attempting to catch and recover both fairing halves, now that they've separated, on our recovery vessels Ms. Tree and Ms. Chief. If we make a successful catch, we'll try to bring you these views live. Otherwise, check our social media accounts for updates. Right now, 4 minutes, 20 seconds of the mission. All is going well.
While Stage 2 is doing its job there on the right, Stage 1 is headed back home to Earth. You can't quite see it on the video on the left, but it is doing that, and it will do this by executing a series of 2 burns. The first burn is the entry burn, where 3 of the 9 M1D engines will light up and slow the stage down as it re-enters the upper part of the Earth's atmosphere. The second burn is the landing burn, and this is a single engine burn that brings the vehicle speed down rapidly in order to land on the drone ship. You can see on your screen that the second stage MVAC is still glowing and in the middle of its burn there, carrying our satellites to orbit. So Stage 1 entry burn is going to start in just over a minute here at T plus 6 minutes and 21 seconds. Stage 1 is currently navigating home to Earth using both its grid fins, and that small spurt of light that you saw was a nitrogen burst from the attitude control system, which is nitrogen gas that helps to orient and guide the first stage as it heads home. There are 4 grid fins and 4 attitude control thrusters on the inner stage of the rocket. In just about 20 seconds here, we will hear the call out for the start of the Stage 1 entry burn. This burn will last 20 seconds. Again, it's a 3-engine burn that will slow the first stage down as it enters the upper parts of the Earth's atmosphere.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
Heard confirmation of the Stage 1 entry burn startup. You can see those backlit grid fins with those 3 engines burning there. Again, this burn lasts 20 seconds.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
We've had confirmation of successful Stage 1 entry burn, and we're about a minute away from our landing burn. The landing burn will start at T plus 8 minutes, and it is also about 20 seconds long. The landing burn should bring us to our drone ship. Of course, I still love you in the Atlantic Ocean. So we have briefly lost that first stage view, but we should get it back when we get closer to the drone ship. We're about 30 seconds out from the Stage 1 landing burn. Again, this is a single engine burn. It's the engine right in the middle. Stage 1 is transonic right now. We're about 10 seconds from landing burn start.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Heard the call out for the start of Stage 1 landing burn. You see the clouds sort of lighting up. look at that stage 1 sitting on our drone ship, of course I still love you. That was a beautiful view of the stage 1 as it came down there, lighting the clouds up. And in just about 10 seconds here, we'll have second engine cut off there right on your screen.
Seco.
We've had confirmation of
Expected loss of signal, Cape.
second engine cutoff, and we're waiting for confirmation of good orbit out of this first burn here.
Nominal parking orbit insertion.
We're in a nominal orbit, and now we're about to enter a coast phase. So we're going to take a quick break, but we're going to leave you with an animation that shows you where we are in the coast. We'll be back at about T plus 46 minutes and 30 seconds for a second stage relight.
Acquisition of signal, Newfoundland. Expected loss of signal, Bermuda. Acquisition of signal, Goonhilly. Expected loss of signal, Newfoundland. Expected loss of signal, Goonhilly.
Welcome back to the live webcast of Starlink 9. We had an on-time liftoff from pad 39A and a beautiful landing on our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You. We are now awaiting the second relight of our second stage engine at T plus 47 minutes and 23 seconds. And this is the shortest burn that we will do, lasting only about 3 seconds. We also just got an update on our fairing halves. We did not manage to catch them this time, but we'll keep trying. We're just about 10 seconds out from second engine startup 2, and this is the shortest burn that we'll do. It is the second of 2 burns, and it will put us in the proper orbits to deploy the BlackSky satellites and Starlink satellites.
Stage 2 ignition. And shutdown.
Wow, you can see a beautiful video of that second stage as it successfully started up and shut down, lasting only about 3 seconds there. There were some beautiful plumes coming off.
Nominal orbital insertion.
You heard the call out. We have nominal orbital insertion, and now that we are in a good orbit, we'll be coasting again for the next 15 minutes or so. And we'll be back at about T plus 1 hour for the first of 2 payload deploys of the BlackSky satellites for our rideshare customer. See you in a bit.
Expected loss of signal, Diego Garcia.
Welcome back to the webcast for our 10th Starlink mission and second mission with a rideshare customer. Today's rideshare includes the 2 Earth observation BlackSky microsatellites. Now, we're about a minute away from the first of the 2 satellite deployments. We got here with a great launch of stage 1. We also got to see the landing on the drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. We're getting to see a view right now looking from the camera on second stage all the way up the Starlink stack. And at the very top are the 2 BlackSky satellites. Second stage did 2 burns, put us into the circular orbit. We're about 400 kilometers circular right now, and we're coming up on the first of the 2 deployments, as I mentioned. That ought to be happening in about 30 seconds. We'll then go through a 6-minute period, actually about 5 minutes and change, and then we will get the second and final BlackSky rideshare satellite deployment. We're then going to go through another kOS phase where we'll drop away briefly and then come back to see the 57 Starlink satellites deploy at T plus 1 hour and 33 minutes.
Global 7, deploy confirmed. Global 8, deploy confirmed.
And there it is, Global 8 deploy confirmed. The second of the 2 BlackSky satellites that are on top of the large stack that you see there. So we've got the first 2 out. There are 57 more to go. So right now, we've got, as I said, 2 BlackSky satellites on behalf of our customer Spaceflight. Now that makes a total of 6 BlackSky satellites in the constellation. And we want to wish a bon voyage to the BlackSky satellites. It was our pleasure to give you a lift today into Earth orbit. Now, as I mentioned earlier, stage 2 is going to continue to coast in this orbit for another 24 minutes. Now, during this time, we will slowly spin the second stage along its central axis. As we come back to camera view, you may be able to tell it's fairly hard to see that we're spinning. It's very slow. But that will provide the stability that the Starlink satellites need as they space themselves out over time after they separate from the second stage. So with that, we're going to take another break right now. We'll leave you with the animation shows where we are in the kOS phase, and we'll be back around T plus 1 hour and 32 minutes, a little under 24 minutes from now, for the deployment of our 57 Starlink satellites.
Expected loss of signal, Tasmania.
Hello, welcome back again to the webcast for Starlink 9. Just before we went on break, we saw the successful deployment of the 2 BlackSky satellites, which were ride-sharing with Starlink. The mission manager has confirmed that BlackSky has successfully acquired signal from both Global 7 and Global 8.
Acquisition of signal, Vandenberg.
We are less than a minute away from the deployment of our 57 Starlink satellites. You can see them appearing on and off on your screen here as we get signal from our ground stations. Deployment for these satellites will start at about T plus 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 8 seconds. Again, the second stage will slowly spin and deploy the stack of 57 Starlink satellites. Coming up in just under 10 seconds here.
Starlink tension rod separation confirmed.
Heard the call out that we've had a successful deployment of our Starlink satellites. To date now, we've sent 595 Starlink satellites into orbit. You can see on your screen there, the satellites are slowly separating from each other, and shortly they will deploy their solar arrays. Now, over the course of the next few days and weeks, these satellites will use their onboard ion thrusters to distance themselves from each other and enter their operational orbits.
Well, that brings our webcast to a close, and what a week it's been here at SpaceX. Just 4 days ago, we saw Crew Demo 2 successfully return home with NASA astronauts Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken. On Tuesday, Starship took flight at our South Texas location, and now we've capped it off with our 10th successful Starlink mission to date. As we watch the Starlinks drifting away, getting ready for their weekend, we'd like to thank you, our customer, Spaceflight, the Federal Aviation Administration for licensing the launch, and the 45th Space Wing and NASA Kennedy Space Center for their range support today. Now, if you're interested in future updates about Starlink launches, as well as general updates about future service availability, head over to starlink.com and sign up. As always, thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next launch.